Did you miss me? Or did you even notice that I didn't put out an episode last week? For the first time since I started this podcast over a year ago, I left you hanging. Unacceptable. But I'll explain.
Husband, father, entrepreneur, realtor, a long list of other titles and descriptions, and landlord. Welcome to the And Landlord podcast with me, Jonathan Taylor Smith, also known as JT, following a roadmap to financial freedom through residential rental real estate. Welcome to the And Landlord podcast, and Lord podcast.
Welcome to episode number 55. Change of schedule due to COVID-19. So I'll be taking a brief break from releasing regular weekly episodes of the show while we go through the great COVID-19 shutdown of 2020. Now, that's not to say I won't continue to release episodes, but they won't be on a regular weekly Tuesday schedule as before. They're now likely to come every other week or so, on different days, and no less than once a month, until we can return to some semblance of normality in the world. For instance, when I'm no longer forced to be my son's school teacher, I haven't seen a fully productive day in weeks since the shutdown began. But not only that, I really don't want to be speaking about coronavirus on every show. And with people suffering both physically and economically from this virus, loved ones alone in hospitals, infected nursing homes and can't receive visits, some people forced to wait in long food lines because they've got no money coming in and the promised government assistance has yet to arrive for most people. It's not really a good look for me to be doing what many perceive as bragging about my latest rehab project or rental property acquisition. I also don't want to come off as looking bad, putting out a bunch of content about dealing with tenants who can't pay rent or any of that, as it's often just not possible for people to properly perceive things during circumstances like this. I could easily be misunderstood. How heartless of me for not wanting to be forced to support other families when I've got my own family to support. Listening to most people talk about the need for paying rent, even at a time like this, you'd think I'm a horrible person for actually expecting tenants to uphold their lease. That lease being the legally binding contract they voluntarily entered into to pay their rent each month, among other requirements. No, apparently tenants are supposed to be just allowed to not pay and not be evicted, which means they are essentially borrowing money from the landlord, who may still be responsible for paying the mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA, and without rent coming in, to pay it all out of pocket when those expenses were supposed to be covered by the rent. So instead of ranting about things like that each week, sounding heartless in the process, I'm going to just keep my mouth shut as best I can anyway. Because no one wants to hear me complain about such things week after week. And hey, I get it. There's a valid argument on the tenant side as well. They likely had a job and were paying rent on time. Then coronavirus comes along and forces the government to shut everything down. And so now they can't work due to no fault of their own. So now what are they to do? It's a dilemma. One that I don't want to debate on this show every week, as you can't persuade a person to think differently about anything against their will and benefit. That effort is a complete waste of time. And it's easy for me to say how someone can prepare in advance for occurrences like this. Nope. Instead, I'm just going to play some video games with my son, get my patience up to now be his school teacher, hopefully without choking him, and work on my existing rehab projects. I don't expect to be buying anything new in the next month or two anyway, since both private lenders and hard money lenders are largely scared to fund any deals right now anyway. But if you're a potential private lender with $100K or so you'd like to invest for 18 to 24 months at a rate of 7 to 10%, reach out and I'll let you know how private lending works with me and Blue Chariot. Other than that, I'm not likely to be doing much in real estate as an investor anyway until July or August. I'll just sit back and manage my existing properties, but I will certainly be performing as a realtor, as I think this is going to be a great time for those who are already established in the business as a realtor. In fact, that will be the topic of one of my coming shows. Realtors, are you paying attention? Opportunity is all around us. Maybe I'll release that next Tuesday, but if not, now you'll know why. I'm still here, still well, but I'm going to relax a bit. And so for the next month or few, I'll not be strictly adhering to the prior every Tuesday release schedule. And I had some great content in the pipeline, but now it's just not the time to release content that may be invalidated by COVID-19. I mean, look, just 5 episodes ago, episode number 50 was titled, "Do You Think Your Market is Too Hot?" And then the very next episode, number 51, was "The Rich Buy Assets While the Poor Buy Toilet Paper." Now that episode got a lot of attention, but 1 week, there was only 1 week between those 2 episodes and how different they were. So anything I put out now may be invalidated the following week or day. And I don't want to be talking about COVID-19 every week, as I've done to some extent since episode 51. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. If there's an asteroid headed for the Earth, you don't talk about how your rental properties are performing. You talk about the asteroid and what remains of life. And so what aspects of life aren't now impacted by coronavirus? So I'm taking a bit of a break until I have something really relevant to talk about, or just to check in and give an update as to how things are progressing. I'll be putting that extra time into being my son's school teacher, trying to stay virus-free, recruiting more private lenders, growing my realty business, and on. We'll get through this. Stay safe and virus-free. Episode number 56 will be coming soon, and so will number 57 and on. Just not as regular on every Tuesday as before, until things get back to normal. Whatever that looks like post-coronavirus.
Thank you for listening to the And Landlord podcast with me, Jonathan Taylor Smith, by Blue Chariot Media, following a roadmap to financial freedom through residential rental real estate. You can find the podcast website and blog at andlandlord.com. The main company site is bluechariot.com. If you've received any value from this podcast, help me, please, to make it available to others, and make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing and posting your 5-star rating. Plus, share it on social media. I welcome your comments on the blog. And if you'd like to share your landlord horror story or have a comment or suggestion for the show, call 844-USA-BLUE. and enter extension 263, which spells "and" on your keypad, as in "and landlord," and leave a message. It may be used on a coming show. Thank you. Be all that you are. And landlord.
Nothing on the preceding show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for personalized advice. The comments and opinions of any guest are their own. Information is not guaranteed. Any investment may have potential for both profit and loss. The host is speaking solely on behalf of Blue Chariot Media, a division of Blue Chariot LLC.